purchasing comic books, whether it be personally or for the store, like what do you look for when you're buying comic books?
Well, first and foremost, any comics that I purchase, I always purchase for myself.
Perfect.
It's one of those things where it's got to be something special to me. It's got to mean something. So I mean, regardless of sort of like what formats you're interested in, if you're a big fan of literature, you're a big fan of comics, movies, TV, there's going to be something that just stands out, speaks to you, or has had some sort of impact, throughout your life. So for me, one of the first comic series that I ever sort of like collected and still have to this day was The Death and Return of Superman. So
Nice.
that's always going to be the first and foremost, right? I was there when it was in the newspapers, it was on TV. They were talking about it. It was the first major sort of time that like a character as big as Superman was being off.
Yeah.
The Crow was another one. Back in '94, saw it for the first time. The movie just blew me away and had a major impact on my life. Now, with that, of course, you start off with something like a film that was based on a comic book, and then started searching into the comic book.
But one of my grails is this Amazing Spider-Man, not necessarily autographed, because this is perfect for me with Stan Lee and Todd McFarlane's autographs on the same comic book. But having this comic book in a higher grade, like as you can see, this is only a 5.0, so the condition isn't great on it. And that's because I did read this multiple times when I first got it, like back in the, 87, 86, something like that. So I read it a bunch of times. And then when I was older and realized that, hey, these things do hold some value to them, I got it autographed and graded. So having Amazing Spider-Man 300 in a 9 point something, and I know a 9.8 Amazing Spider-Man 300 goes for like $8,400 nowadays. And some of those introduction comics, right?
But even in that type of situation, now, yes, you've got your Spider-Man 9.8. You've got this shiny, crystallized book. But it's not your 5.0. It doesn't have the signature of Stan Lee when you met that gentleman. That signature alone should be, its own value to you because it's a memory. It's an experience that you had.
It is.
Whereas, someone else may look at it as nothing more than a dollar sign. Because, when you got it signed, it cost you $50 in the lineup to have him sign your book for you, or $60 to take a picture with him, like that type of idea. But it's, once again, like this is what we're talking about, where there's that perceived value. Similar idea where you've got McFarlane's signature on the book as well, of course, with it being like his pivotal sort of Marvel institution prior to jumping off and creating Image Comics. That's probably like one of the most renowned things that McFarlane was known for. But this comes back to the sort of that value situation, because I would hold a much higher regard to the idea and the story behind that 5.0, as opposed to, just looking at it as, this is a book, like we've seen it continuously, because as time progresses, there are fewer and fewer of them in, good condition or decent condition.
Yeah.
Sort of the one-to-one. Find other collectors, try to stay away from the purely profit.
Okay.
So purely profit, of course, means that you walk into a shop somewhere, there's a book there, but the idea is that you're trying to trade, and in a situation like that, you're going to get offered a mere fraction of the actual value of the book, even if you're looking at the proper sort of secondary market, and you're going to notice like a huge increase in what their perceived value of the book may be on their shelf.